and welcome to the first episode of Bring It Up in 2021. It's me, Chiara.
And me, Sara. Hello, welcome back. Happy New Year, guys. How are you?
Sara, so we decided to start this year speaking about art. Art in general and art in all its forms in our society, under the professional aspect. What is our own perception of art in our life? So, who did we choose to invite as guest today?
So today we have a special guest with us. It's a friend of mine. His name is Mario. Welcome, Mario. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Very good, thanks. So Mario is connected with us from Italy, and he's a doctor, a psychotherapist, and also a director. He works in drama, cinema, let's say, in art in general. So would you like to introduce yourself?
First of all, thank you for inviting me to this event. I'm really happy to talk about art all the time that I can. I have no idea how to introduce myself, and that's part of the topic, I guess, because how do you define yourself is one of the questions that we're going to try to answer today. So as you said, I'm a doctor. I'm also a psychotherapist. I'm also a theater director. And maybe I'm none of these things and all of these things together.
So why did you decide to first start, follow your passion, that is theater, I guess?
Yeah. Well, passion is a very it's a very important thing for everybody. It's something that pushes you forward to do whatever you like, you know. And so it's kind of hard to say when it started, because it's something that it's kind of there all the time, you know. So if I have to answer with my memories, my first memory of theater, of me in theater, is when I was in elementary school. So a very, very long time ago, maybe even before, actually. But when I became aware of that, it was very, very, a long time later, you know. It was like in high school. In high school, I was like, everybody has a passion. Maybe I should find something for myself too. And then I was like, well, maybe theater could be that, you know. But for me, it was something that was there all the time. And it's something that I knew that I was going to do every day, that I could. But it was like a normal thing, you know, like maybe everybody goes into the shower or eat breakfast. That's a normal thing. You don't think about it, you know. And for me, it was theater.
I really appreciate the way you put the question, because it was my first reflection after all, the fact that we are more or less all exposed to art, because in school, since actually the very beginning, since elementary school, there are arts classes specifically referred to art, to theater, etc. But so many times, for instance, in my personal case, it was usually like, okay, we have to do this thing. We have to treat the art classes as if they were math classes, like the same rigid structure. Do your homework, follow classes, take notes. It was. And the difference between math or like Italian language classes and art is specifically referred to the fact that like it's self-expression, and instead in school usually is treated like any other subject. And this, in my personal case, it affected the way I looked for so many years to art. To me, it was like, okay, everybody say that Rembrandt is a great painter, or that Dante, the Italian poet, he's the maximum representative of Italian literature. So everybody appreciates it. I have to find a way to say that, yes, I like the same things because, and it was never, nobody pushed my own perception. And what about you, Sarah?
Yeah, when I was in elementary school, as of course, as everybody, we had to do art class and everything, but I feel like they didn't really bring out all the creativity we had as children. So I really didn't like the way schools in Italy, face the topic of art in general. And it's even worse, I think, in high school, because I had to study art history and everything. It was very theoretical and nothing practical. So on another point of view, I feel like I've never been so exposed to art. And also, from a personal experience, my family and my background didn't really push me towards art in general, because I feel like sometimes art is underestimated, not only as a topic itself, like as art itself, but also as something that someone can aspire to do, to create. So yeah. I think in Italy we have a lot. We are probably one of the most artistic countries in the world, but schools don't really push young people towards art and to embrace art in whichever form.
I totally agree with both of you. I guess part of the deal is that, especially in Italy, I don't know in other countries as well, but in Italy we have a little bit of a romantic kind of view of arts and everything like that. So it's something that only people that have spare time should do. It's something that you do when you don't have anything else to do, or maybe if you're rich already, then that's what you're able to do. And while you were talking, I was picturing a movie that maybe all of you saw, that Poets Society. It's the original title, where the teacher tells to the students, math, engineering, medicine, those are all very important and noble studies. And those are the things that make us live, but art, literature, and all that is what we live for, So I kind of agree with that. And at the same time, it's something that it's a little bit, romantic about it, because then when you go down to the real thing and you ask a kid, somebody that wants to work in art, then the question remains is like, how should I do that? Or all the people talk about arts like, oh, it's a very important thing. Culture is very important. But then when you need to decide where the money goes, it never goes there. Or when the politicians make decisions, they never go forward to develop arts and all these cool things that we have in Italy,
I was thinking that one of my favorite sentences I've learned during my studies at high school, it was the Latin saying, "Carmina non dant panem." Like, you cannot make out a living out of writing verses or writing prose. And so I was thinking, where does this idea of art comes from? And actually so old, so rooted in our society, that probably this is the first point. And from that moment on, as you were saying, when we first of everything, when we ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, you can be just one thing, so choose wisely. When as a matter of fact, you can be so many things, change across time, because we are so like a continuum. We are not something that you reach like a ladder. You do one step after the other one. And maybe this also blocks the child, that when probably says, oh, I want to be a painter, and then the adult laughs. It's like, no, come on, like, really, what do you want to be? A painter. You should be like proud of the child that's so free answered.
Well, you brought up so many topics in one time. But it's very articulated. I guess we can only address these topics from our own experience and share it with whoever is listening, and hope that might be interesting, I guess. So I would start with what you just said about the kids. First of all, I would say it's not something that happens only to the kids, but in my case, it happened all the time. When there was a time in my life where I only worked in theater. That was like my only job. And when people asked me, and I was grown up, so people would ask me, "So what do you do?" And I was like, "I work in theater." And they were like, "Yeah, and what's your job?" Like they were like, "I do theater." Yeah, but what's your real job? And theater. And it was like, for people, it's normal to do not something else and then do theater as something you do for fun. So that's one thing. And I think this opens up into a different topic, that it's the topic of identity. So what I feel like, if I identify myself with my job, that it's something that in our society really goes together. It's like we want to know what you do for a living, so that we have an idea of who you are. It's like you present yourself with that. I had this very bad experience when I tried to put up my LinkedIn profile. I was like, I don't know what to write, because if I write everything, it's like I'm nothing, I'm none of those. And when I started doing theater, I did theater. I started working in theater after I graduated from university in medical school. And I felt that was something lacking when I would say this to other people. Like when I would introduce myself to other people working in theater, I never wanted to say that I was also a doctor, because I didn't want them to think that I was less of a theater person. You know what I mean? It was like I was less an artist. And other people's feedback would be like, you're a doctor, that's something more that you have. So it's like, you have another experience that we don't have. So it's something that just adds up, But for my point of view, I was like, I can't say I do that. Otherwise, I'm not enough a professional. You know what I mean? So that got really into myself, And even though I don't believe in this, but for me, what I felt about it was like that. And still, it's like sometimes it's like that. I have to work on it to try to tell myself, okay, I'm all of these things together. Every person on earth is a sum of all the things. And, the whole is much more than the simple sum of all the things together. And this starts when you're a little kid and they ask you that question, what do you want to be when you grow up, Because as you say, I want to be a painter. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a scientist. I want to be an actor. And the answer is always, oh, you got to work hard to do that, Come on. And that's like it really annoys me, if I have to say, because when you talk to a kid, you should more focus on what person they want to be, because they don't even know what an astronaut does, or a doctor, or an actor. They just see it from the outside. So they have they don't have the insurance to answer that question. It's something that the adult does for himself, for herself. So just to put the kid in a little box and say, okay, you're going to be this, And they don't do it because you're mean. That's what they were taught to. So the hard part is that we kind of have to open ourselves a little bit more and try to get into it and start doing things differently. That it's very hard. And the hard part is that, I don't know if I'm talking too much. You stop me if you want to.
No, please go ahead.
The other thing that makes me think about is that when you think about the life, the existence of a human being, there's like we can say two worlds, the real world, where the things that you can touch, the concrete world, the visible world, and the invisible world. The invisible world is where all the things that really matter are, like friendship, love, and all the things about the relationship. And art is right there. There is a very nice book that I read, that it's called The Invisible, it's in English would be The Invisible Painting. And it talks about how to enjoy and when you go to a museum and look at a piece of art, and he talks about the painting that it's between you and the painting, So when you look at a painting, it's like an experience that it's for yourself, that it's there because you are there and the painting is there. And what matters is in between you and the piece of art that you're looking at. But when we study in school, they only talk about when they did it, who did it, what's the description of what it's in the painting, all digital things, things that you can always repeat. But what it's important about art is it's the experience that you do when you go and look for it, or when you go to theater or whatever. So we're not trained to do that. In our world, we're all attached to the visible world. So what's the most visible thing? It's the money. Money is something you can count, you can trade, it's easy. It's not that it's bad, okay? Because I don't like to talk about these topics like there is evil and good. That's not the thing. Those two things are very important. So to build a society that it's organized is very good to have that, okay? So the reflection in school is do your homeworks, do math, do this. You learn what I tell you to do. But when we talk about relationship, then we have a lot of people that know a lot of notions, but they have no idea how to share it with other human beings. So what's the point of that? We created a huge society that's capable of taking the man to the moon, and then we don't know how to stay in a relationship. So art is that's why art for me is very important. But it works only if you address it this way. So to make space for the invisible world. So whatever it's in yourself. And with art, you just have a choice. You have an opportunity to take what you have inside and express it and just share it. Not because you're special, not because it's important, but because you're human. And as human beings, we should all be interested in whatever happens to other human beings.
Thank you very much for your answer. Sarah, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I was thinking about the fact that you don't only, let's say, experiment. I think experiment is not the right word, but you don't just do drama yourself, but you also teach drama. So I wanted to know why you decided to enter, let's say, the teaching part of drama. What do you think your students are seeking following a drama class, for example?
Okay, very nice question. There's many different ways to answer it. But the first one that comes to my mind is that it was by chance. Before I started teaching, I was like, I'm an actor. Just give me a script, a director that tells me what to do, and I'll do it, And then I had a chance to teach in a class because there was an opportunity, and I just decided to take it and try. And there I discovered that I liked it a lot, maybe even more. And that's the whole point there, that we cannot decide before. So just to answer again to the question about the kid, they cannot answer the question, what job do I want to do, unless they do it, and then they can decide. That's for everybody. So when I started teaching, and I guess part of it is because my mom was a teacher, so I guess it was just in me all the time. I just liked it so much that I decided to make it a job, make it become a job later on. What do they seek? I don't know. You should ask them this question. I can tell you that I've had many different students. Everybody is different, and everybody seeks a different thing. And that is a question that I ask them every time I begin with a class. I don't ask them to tell everybody why they're there if they don't want to, but I want themselves to know why they're there. And then I ask them again at the end of the class, when we finish the course, to answer this question again and to compare it to the one that they wrote it down. I usually have them write it down so that they don't forget. And see if it changed through the experience. 'Cause sometimes you go do an experience and you have your objectives, you want to do this, your goals. But then as the experience goes, you change and you find out that you're there for a different reason. And you didn't know that, but then you become aware of it later on. I guess one of the main things, if we want to talk in general, okay, which I don't like, but we have to because we don't have students here to ask. I guess theater is a place where life is more interesting. Some people say life is more real. I say interesting because it's like a way of being in a relationship with other human beings on the stage that you cannot fake it. You learn why you do drama class, how to be in the here and now instead of showing your mask that you show all the time. And that particular way of being in a relationship is so intense and so interesting and so nutrient for yourself that after you try it, you never want to stop it. You always want more. And I have one episode that happened when I was in the theater academy. I was an assistant of this teacher, and he was teaching the class acting. Okay, it was an acting class, and one of the students was in a relationship with somebody else outside the academy. During this class, this student broke up with her boyfriend, and she started having a relationship with the other person that she had a scene with. Okay, and somebody asked the teacher, "Don't you think this is wrong? Because they are in a world of imagination. Everything here is fake, but then this has a consequence in the real world." And he answered, "Well, if they find more interesting this relationship, because now they have somebody that talks to them and answers to them, showing what they really feel, then what is wrong about that?" And I guess this is pretty much what I was trying to say.
Wow. This was, once again, a lot of ideas that you brought up in the conversation. And I wanted just to come back a bit to the origin of your answer. In particular, when you were speaking about the money and how we tend to value things in such a capitalistic way. I can't find another adjective. Because when it's referred to art, sometimes I feel like it's okay to, if you want to be an artist on like amateur level, so like as a hobby in your free time, but you can be considered truly an artist only if you can make your artworks be sold for huge amounts of money. Otherwise, yes, you are an artist, but probably like you do not have like you don't have a regular salary, you don't have a quiet life under this aspect. And to me, it feels like we as society, so once again, we go for generalizations, but it looks like you're trying to judge something under the wrong lens. To look at something under the wrong lens. You're using the wrong parameter to investigate it. And I think this is something that is also referred to this beautiful insight you gave about what you bring on the stage when you are an actor. You see the world with other eyes, and you're judging it probably in a more honest way. And I really like this thing that you said. You would like to add something, Sarah?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about art nowadays. I mean, we found ourselves in a very difficult time and a very strange time too. And I wanted to know, as you're also a psychotherapist, Mario, I wanted to know if you think that art played a good role, let's say, in coping with all the things that happened to us in the last year, basically. With COVID and everything. We had to stay home.
Yeah.
We were locked down in quarantine, isolated, far away from our loved ones. So, many things that can be very heavy on someone's mind and feelings.
Yeah,
so,
they are. They are. The proof that it is a difficult time for everybody is that during the lockdown, I have had a lot more people calling me to start psychotherapy. So they wanted help. I guess it's part of it is because it was a hard time. It is a hard time, and part of it is because people stopped. So and they're alone with themselves and with what they feel, and they feel like maybe I should get a handle of this, try to work on it. Because when you go on with your normal life and keep going, sometimes you push it away, push it aside, So that's part of the answer, I guess. Talking about arts and money, I wanted to ask you, Chiara, do you call yourself an artist because you earn money from your work, or you call yourself an artist because you do what you feel to do?
Whoa. Well, I like this question because recently I read a book that started with a discussion among artists in Soviet Russia. And at that time, there was so much pressure on creating new styles, new artistic expressions, and so on. So in this book, the discussion was about if I create an artwork, like a sculpture, and I do not show it to anybody, it does not go out of the laboratory where I created it. Did I actually create it? Or until someone does not see it, then it can be considered an artwork. And
exactly.
So, yeah, I can consider myself an artist because I like writing, creative writing. So if I see it this way, and if this thing and in a certain way enlightens my life and brings out the passion I have for this, then of course, and it has nothing wrong to say that, yes, a generic one could say, I am a writer because I write for myself. this should be the main point. Instead, there's always this thing, yeah, but I tried to publish this book and it did not sell, and so on. Once again, like the more I think about it, the more I remember only events in which money were involved in a certain way in the discussion.
Sure. And I guess it's a very complicated answer to give. If you're an artist, if you do this or that, I guess, again, it's the point of view that we can change a little bit, because when we look at it this way, it's like we're saying, we're looking at the identity again. So if you are an artist or not, or you call yourself an artist or not, I guess the difference is if you do a work of art or not. Okay? So what makes you an artist is that then later on people will say this about you. But it's like, if you feel to do that, you do it, and then you share it. That's the whole point of it. And then you don't get money from it. Well, Van Gogh didn't get any money for what he did. So, yeah.
Just after he died.
Exactly. So he doesn't know. He never knew about that. I guess it's all about, we should shift a little bit to what we are to what we do, and that would make things a little bit easier, I guess. When we talk about professionals in theater, I myself consider professionals people that studied arts, or that have a profound experience in arts, so that they know they do things, and they also know why they're doing it. Other people, amateurs, usually they don't know why they do that, what they do. So that is a big difference. And I think it's easier to see the difference when we talk about medicine, for example. You can go to a friend that knows exactly something that solves your problem, okay? But they don't know why. And then you go to the doctor, they give you the same thing, but they know why they're doing that. And the experience that you have, it's a little bit different, because it's a matter of trust also. So I guess it's a little bit there. So again, to answer Sarah's question, we jumped a little bit. I don't know. Do you want me to answer, or?
Yes, of course.
Okay. You were asking about coping with art of this situation. I have a personal opinion about it. Of course, that is, art could be something that we use to face these times. It could have been a very strong ally if we gave art the space that it needed before everything happened. Just like now, everybody's crazy in Italy because there's no doctors, there's not enough nurses, there's not enough hospitals, and everybody's like, well, you should have thought about this before. The same thing is about art. Art is a very important place for the community to learn about yourself, and as an individual and as a community, because it's a place where somebody has an experience and everybody witnesses the experience. So it's kind of, you live the experience through the play that you're watching, for example. And that's a very special way for human beings to learn things. So if you're exposed to art, what I've seen is that people that are exposed to art are coping better with this situation now. Because now it's almost impossible to do it. So there is a sort of entertainment sometimes for lonely people. But when you're alone, or when you're in your house with your family, those are the people that you have to deal with. So you can't go to a museum, you can't go to a movie, you can't go to theater. So there isn't really much that art can do now, but there is a lot that art can do all the time when there is no lockdown. One thing that I always remember is that we as human beings, we learn when we make mistakes. That's the only way we learn. There's no other teacher better than mistakes. But some mistakes have consequences, and consequences can be not reversible. Okay? So you can't teach everybody, oh, it's wrong to kill your wife, just by letting them kill their wife, and then they learn that it's wrong or that it's not appropriate. But then again, if you go to a play, watch Otello kill Desdemona, and they have this experience on stage, it's a way of making the experience without the consequences. And that's very important. So everything is fake in theater, but the people have real feelings on the stage. So it's something that is very precious. I wouldn't get rid of it.
When you were coming to the conclusion, I thought that the mistake that the kind of mistake that you shouldn't do is to close theater or to not give the opportunity to people working in the field to be protected by the safety measures that have been taken right now in all Europe and in particular in Italy, because I feel that this can be considered a mistake that can affect the living of so many people working in as professionals in theater.
Again, when we talk about theater, especially, but art in general, we always skip between the necessity of theater, the importance of arts, and the way to find a sustainable way to give funds to all these people, to all the people that work in theater and etc. So it is a big question, but what we should do, I think we should split two things. So one thing is we need money in this system to live. Otherwise, we can't survive. And someone that works in art needs their time to do their things. So if you're able to give the money to the people to do their job, then you have a big service back to the community. But the problem is that we, in our society, we invest only in projects that give back money, that give something back, We don't invest in something that is useful in a way of that doesn't produce more money. Theater is a big example, even better than paintings, because the painter makes a painting and it's there, and you can sell it again and again and again. But with theater, in the exact moment the theater goes on stage, the piece of art is gone in the same moment, and you have to produce it again every night, every day, every time you do it. You have to pay all the actors, all the technicians, everybody. So it's like, imagine that you drink from your glass, and then every time you drink, you have to have somebody that blows a glass, and they have to produce another glass every time, And for right now, we see this, for example, in space. SpaceX is finding a way to reuse boosters. Otherwise, it's like every time they have to throw it away. Every time you take a plane, and then after you land, they dismantle it, and they have to build another one. It's crazy. But theater, it's like that. So you take it or not, and that's the only way.
like there's so much to reflect about. When we decided to bring this topic, we actually didn't know where we could end up, in which kind of field we could end up discussing and talking. And there are so many things to say, because in the end, as you said, for the quote from Dead Poets Society, art surrounds us. So, and probably we never stopped so much to investigate how many links there are between each single citizen and art itself. And this was a good reflection, and indeed.
Yeah, I think we can go on for hours and hours talking about this topic, because every time we speak about something, there's something else that comes to our minds, I guess. So I don't know if Mario, if you have something else that you want to add.
One thing that came to my mind. I don't know, how much time do I have?
As much as you want.
As much as I want. Oh, this is paradise. One thing is one last big teacher that we have, very somebody that saw something about theater that I really like, that is alive now. It's Declan Donnellan. He's a theater director. He wrote a book that is very interesting about this, about theater and acting. And he starts talking about how theater is something that human beings know by themselves. And he says you cannot teach children theater because they already know how to do it. And the first show of theater that we assist to is when we're very little and our mom looks at us and then covers the face with the hands and then show herself again. And when we're little, we don't see the face and we feel like she's gone forever, and then she's back. The mom does it because the kid laughs when she comes back, but it's a way to train ourselves to separate ourselves from everything in life, because that's what happens. And we do it with a game, in a way, in a language that we're capable of understanding, because we're very little. So he says, if the Holocaust came, everything dies, we have no books, and just a bunch of kids remain on Earth, they will have all the instruments to do theater again, and they will do it because they need to. So I guess this was a nice way to separate ourselves, to say goodbye, to remember that it's not the end of everything. It's just the end of one thing, and it's part of life. It's also separation.
Yeah, I was kind of in a moment of reflection of thinking about what she said, and it's totally true. Yeah, I totally agree. So, well, Chiara, if you want to say something else, otherwise I think that today was a very productive episode. I think we brought up so many things and we can reflect on them. And what else?
Well, the only thing I want to do now, after we will say goodbye to each other, is browse the internet, find a good new book to read, or go on YouTube, find some ballet that they put on the internet, or just listen to some music and enjoy it now with a deeper knowledge, deeper understanding of what there's behind.
Yeah, totally true. Totally true. Okay, so thank you very much, Mario, for being with us today. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chiara. Thank you, Sara. Thank you for inviting me and letting me think about these things, because it was for me also a way to reflect about all these topics.
Yeah, thank you very much. And once again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So guys, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are Balkan Hotspot, and see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.